The next way of presenting data that I'm going to talk about is boilerplate text. Boilerplate's a term that means something that is stamped into. Originally, this was for locomotives. Who made the locomotive was stamped into it, and so it was the same text used over and over again. So it's repeatedly used text. So statisticians use their tools across many different fields. They use them in biology and engineering and government, and they use the same tools over and over again. And they often are under pretty tight time constraints when they do that. And so for those reasons, they've developed some pretty standardized ways of reporting statistics. And so these conventions mean that even if you're looking at reports in different fields, you can quickly understand what's being summarized. They also are reusable, so the parts that don't change help tell you what's going on, and the parts that do change are the picky details, like when we're talking about distributions, how distributions come in families when they have similar shapes, but the exact shape depends on parameters. So you'll often have a template that says, here's the distribution, and the only thing that changes is the actual parameters. And then it also makes things fast, right? So if you have some jargon and your reader has some jargon, boom, you can talk quickly. But these all only work when you're in the know. So hopefully I'm going to help make you in the know so you can understand a little better about what's going on with boilerplate. So the first kind of boilerplate we're going to encounter in this class is summary statistics. So oftentimes we'll have a paragraph or two in our report that says what the summaries are for different groups and what those statistics values are. And usually we have an exact value that we've calculated from our sample. And then there's also some kind of measurement of the uncertainty of that variable that comes from our measurement as well. So if it's a count, we don't have uncertainty necessarily. So the way these are usually reported is in parentheses. And the first time you see it, the boilerplate will say the statistics name, and then a plus sign, and then the measure of uncertainty's name, and then there'll be an equal sign, and then you'll have the actual calculated value, and then another plus sign, and the calculated uncertainty unit, and then units, if any. So for example, here it says mean plus standard error equals 3.14 plus 2.718, and those are the bits, and the units are bits. So we'd say the mean and standard error is 3.14, or we'd say there's a mean of 3.14 with a standard error of 2.718 bits. And if we had another kind of example with correlation, we might say the correlation is 0.47 with a standard error of 0.62. Correlation has no units, so we wouldn't report those. So the first time you report summary statistics like this, you have the explanation of what the stat is and what its uncertainty is. But then after that, you would have you wouldn't repeat this over again to save some space. So for example, if you're reporting several summaries in a row, you might say what's being reported the first time, the mean weight and the standard error, and then you have that mean weight plus the standard error here, and then the next group with their mean weight and standard error, and the final group with their mean weight and standard error. So in each case, this number plus this number, we're not adding them together, that's a symbolic representation. So hopefully that makes sense to y'all.